Alright, the first thing that we're going to do is create a background and a floor object. So you're going to need to go into your Objects Manager and get a background object, add that, and back into Scene, and add a floor. Alright, like we've done before here, we're going to be adding a material on this and then compositing the floor material so that it has looks exactly like the background, so it looks very fluid. So what we want to do is go ahead and Cinema 4D tags, the compositing, and then compositing background. Again, once we put a material on both of these, the same material, then they should look fluid together. So we're going to create a new material, and for my purposes today, I'm going to go ahead and make this one kind of a dark gray, because my object's going to be actually orange that I'm going to be rendering later. Click OK, and then take that material and drag it on both. I'm just going to copy this one down, holding down the Control key. Alright, so now when I render that, I should have this kind of flat area. And then when I have lights and stuff, the shadows should show up on the floor. Alright, so that's what we're looking for to start off with. What we're going to be doing today is adding a PBlurp object. Yeah, PBlurp, that's what it's called. We're going to be doing a little bit of espresso, very minimal amount. But this is a pretty cool thing. PBlurp's pretty cool, and you can do some pretty sweet stuff with it. We're going to start with the text, and my text object's going to be called Ludus. That's kind of what I've been keeping it consistent with what I've been using. I'm going to get a nice fat font, something a little bit of thickness to it. Let's try this one here and see what that one does. Yeah, there we go. That looks good. That's what I want. And I'm going to go ahead and swing this around here. So I'm kind of looking at it from the front. Alright. Again, I'm still in perspective mode here. I'm going to go ahead and copy this down. I'm going to go ahead and leave that text in text 1, so it just helps me keep them in order for what I want to use. My one I just copied, I'm going to go ahead and make that one called PBlurp. Okay. And label that text PBlurp. Label this. I'm going to kind of backtrack on what I just said. I'm going to go ahead and label this Ludus. Just so it keeps it consistent, I suppose. Alright, I'm going to go to all 4 views, again by clicking up here, or if I have a middle mouse button, I can use that. And I'm going to go ahead and drag my Ludus forward about 3 squares there, as you can see. And I'm going to take the PBlurp and drag it back about 3. Doesn't really matter, it just depends on what you're kind of going for here with this, because you're going to be transitioning between the two. Alright, the next thing we need to do is put a extrude NURBS on both of these. I'm going to go ahead and extrude NURBS. And I'm going to control, click and drag that down so I have 2 of them. Drag my PBlurp into one, and my Ludus text object in the other. Each one of those, I'm going to go ahead and make them 60 on the Z-axis. Keep them fairly consistent. Again, so we have some nice thick fonts that are looking here. I'm going to rotate my camera just a little bit so it gives me a little bit more to look at here. Got to play with the camera settings later with that. Next thing that I need to do is go ahead and label these two Ludus. Oops. And PBlurp. Alright, because we're going to be making these editable. Alright, so I've got all my settings set up, I've got my movement. The last thing I want to do is give the font just a little bit of caps. Alright, to make it look a little bit nicer. So I'm going to go ahead and cap, select cap on both. And I'm going to make the steps 5, radius 2, and do that consistently through the rest of them. So the PBlurp has one now, and then my Ludus fillet cap, 5, and 2 on the radius, 5, and 2 on the radius, and hit enter. Now those look a little bit nicer. If we get a little bit closer, we have a nice little edge on those. Again, probably not totally necessary because you're going to be doing animation, and when you're doing animation, detail isn't as noticeable as it would be in a still image, but still appropriate for some assignments. Okay, so we've got that set up. We can play with camera settings later. First thing that I want to do now is make these both editable. So I'm going to select both of them and click over here, or C on your keyboard, make editable. We need to open these up all the way until you see minus symbols, not a plus symbol. And what we need to do is in the first group, under Ludus, we're going to go ahead and Objects, Connect and Delete, so that's just one object. Same thing for the PBlurp, Objects, Connect and Delete. Alright, so now we have those all set up. Now I'm going to go ahead and get rid of these selection tags. They're not really necessary. They're just kind of blocking things out there for us. Alright, now what I want to do is take a render real quick and see what we have. So if I render this, you can see a text, you can see the PBlurp on there. It looks very flat right now. Matter of fact, the Ludus logo looks like it's a little bit too far in the ground, so I'm going to raise it up a bit. And if you look in my right camera there, I'm in all 4 views, I'm coming up about half a square there. I'm going to do the same thing for my PBlurp object. I'm going to go ahead and bring that up a bit too. Alright. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and move, see my axis point here? Anytime I select either one of those, that axis point's in the middle. I'm going to move that axis point here in the right so that's back in the middle of each one of its objects that it says anything. So instead of the use model tool, I'm going to use the move axis tool, move it back just like so, and then it's like the Ludus text, again move axis tool, I'm going to move it underneath there. It's always good to keep your axes consistent with where their objects are. So when you go to rotate something or something, it works a little bit better for you. It's a little bit more handy. Alright, we've got that set up. Everything looks good. I'm going to go ahead and File, Save Project. I've been saving a lot of my projects in Dropbox. I'm going to go ahead and save this one on the desktop and just call it PBlurp. Alright, so now I've got a project saved, so if something crashes, I can utilize it later. Next thing that I need to do is create a material to put on my text objects, and this one's just going to be a bright orange. Put on those. Okay, and I'll drop it on one, Control drag that material down to the next one, and it should be in both of them now. So when I render those, again you can see that. And again, once I add a light to these into the scene and put a shadow and stuff like that, it'll give it a little bit more realistic vision. So I'm going to add that towards the end here with our camera. Alright, the next thing to do is we're going to get a particle, thinking particles. Alright, and this is what's going to actually allow that PBlurp to do its thing. So you're going to go to Objects, Thinking Particles, Particle Geometry. And add your particle geometry. You have to have a particle geometry to define how these particles are going to move, and you'll see that in just a second. Go back to Objects, Thinking Particles, Thinking Particle Settings. And we're going to drag this little thing that says All here into that particle group of the Attributes Manager. Again, that particle geometry is selected. In the Attributes Manager, it says Particle Group. We're going to add that All. Alright.